Welcome to week 2 of the NFL season. Starting off with my week 1 picks review. If you were not with us, I picked the best game of the week, that being the Houston Texans taking on the Indianapolis Colts, and my worst game of the week was the New York Jets taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Now, starting off with the best game, I feel like I did a good prediction with Houston and Indianapolis. I definitely predicted Anthony Richardson throwing deep in the air with the air raid, those two great passes to Alec Pierce, and a bunch of touchdowns through the air. I think there were 4 combined touchdowns through the air. I think both Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud had 2 apiece. And plus, it was a great game all the way up into the end. It was a defensive stop that stopped it. I believe the final score was 29-27, and it was a great overall game. The only thing I didn't predict was that Joe Mixon was going to go off and really have his welcome back to the NFL moment. Even though he's still been here, he just hasn't played great over in Cincinnati. But Joe Mixon on the Texans, Stephon Diggs on the Texans as well. That team looking really good as they won a big game, and I still think that was the best game of the week. There were other games that had high scoring and had a big lead changes and other exciting things, but I think overall this was the best back and forth game throughout the whole thing that really ended up in a great matchup. And I think the next Texans-Colts game is going to be really good as well. Now, moving over to the worst game of the week, I picked the New York Jets against the San Francisco 49ers, and safe to say it was not the worst game of the week. Was it great? No, San Francisco manhandled the Jets both on offense and defense. The only thing the Jets really had was Aaron Rodgers not getting hurt and finding Allen Lazard in the end zone for 2 touchdowns. But really, other than that, it wasn't very close. San Francisco looked very good, and they looked to keep going, except for Christian McCaffrey, but they backed him up well with Jordan Mason. Now, did Jordan Mason know he was going to start ahead of time? Who knows, but that was very interesting. But anyway, San Francisco won big. Now, the worst game of the week by far was the New Orleans Saints against the Carolina Panthers. The New Orleans Saints are an average football team, and they made the Carolina Panthers look like a college team, which is a reminder to all NFL fans out there that the Carolina Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. Now, New Orleans beat them pretty much straight on, and then their defense just wreaked havoc for the rest of the game. I don't know what you do with Carolina. They lost their best defensive player, and I believe Derek Brown, their defensive tackle, for the season already in week 1. And Bryce Young didn't look very good either. So I guess all you can do is hope and pray for the Panthers. But other than that, it's going to be a rough year. Now, my best game of the week is the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this game should be really good. Both teams coming off good first week performances in week 1 offensively, even though both came up short in the end, both 0-1 teams. Both offenses really performed well. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray looked really good, especially with Trey McBride and his receivers as well. Even though Maserati Marv didn't really do much in his first week, expect a big second week from him, as well as really getting it around to the rest of the offense. And James Conner, of course, is going to take the David Montgomery approach this week, and I think there's going to be a lot of points through the ground for Arizona. Now, going over to the Rams are still going to be really good, and they did a good job up in Detroit, even though, again, they did lose in overtime. And even though they're going to be without Puka Nacua, I still think that receiving core is going to be very good. They're going to have good backups to Nacua, and of course, a healthy Cooper Kupp is going to be a potential Triple Crown winner again. So that receiving core, even though we don't know him yet, we're going to know him in a couple weeks. And I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game, really high scoring. I think both teams are going to put up easily almost 50 points. All offense, no defense. Going to be a really fun back and forth game in the desert. And hopefully, it lives up to the hype that I'm giving it. But I have a final score prediction of 53-47 Rams. I think it's going to be a big game for that. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch. Now, my worst game of the week is the New Orleans Saints taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, what the Saints did to the Panthers last week is I think what's going to happen to them this week by Dallas. Now, Dallas absolutely whooped the best defense in the league last week over in Cleveland, put up 33 points, and New Orleans has a good defense, but again, they're kind of an average team, an above average defense and a below average offense, and I think Dallas is going to whoop their butt. Now, Dallas is going to not only score a lot of points on offense, but their defense is going to wreak havoc against Derek Carr. I don't know how the league didn't sign Mike Zimmer somewhere else. To let him be the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, in my mind, just isn't fair because he was always a great defensive coach. I think all they need is to trade for Harrison Smith, and then they're going to be real Super Bowl contenders. But yeah, that Mike Zimmer defense is going to be scary for the Saints offense. I don't see them putting up many points. And over to Dak in the offense. And it's also going to be the first home game of the season for Dallas. It's going to be a big win in Big D. Now, I think the final score is going to be somewhere along the lines of like a 45-10 or 45-13 Dallas. It's not even going to be close, and it's going to be kind of sad because the Saints had such a great first week, but then this week it's going to be pretty much coming up short. Like and follow for more.